Hey, welcome to the Grace Kid Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. We are in a plan called the One Story Plan, where we are reading through the entire Bible. And this week we're jumping back just a little bit, but before we get into our story, I have a special guest who is going to introduce himself.
Sup, my name is Emerson, and I'm in 6th grade. I'm technically not in Grace Kids anymore, but I'm so thankful that I'm here. Kyler, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into our story, let's start off with our question of the day for our listeners. And the question of the day is, what is the worst rainstorm you've ever been in? So whoever you're listening to this with, ask them the question, and we'll be right back with our answers.
Jesus is calling, open your eyes, no need to fear now, 'cause he's on your side, just let go, and you'll find that he is everything you need. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
And we are back. And so, Emerson, what is the worst rainstorm you've ever been in?
So I have two examples. The first one, I was younger, so it freaked me out more, but this one was the one recently was a little more freaky. I'm going to do the one that was most recently because I don't know how good we are on time, but I think it would be good to know that we had a tornado warning at our house not too long ago, and the storm was really big. It was as big as like a hurricane. That's what the radar looked like, and the tornado was like 5 miles away from our house. It was really scary. And funny enough, that the church that I was a ring bearer in had some of their roof got lost. Can you believe that?
No way. That is pretty crazy. That's a bad rainstorm. Yeah, and mine was a couple of years ago. I was driving in my car, and it was like the roads were super slick, so it was scary. It felt like I was drifting everywhere, and not a fun time. So this will all make sense in a little bit about a rainstorm, but where we are going to pick up is in 1 Kings 18, and if you listen to last week's podcast, there are some new people that we've been talking about. So we have King Ahab, we have Jezebel, his wife, and Elijah. We also are going to add one more person, a guy named Obadiah. And so where we pick up, there's a drought going on, which a drought means there's no rain. Okay, and so it's pretty severe. So he pretty much. Elijah is going to go get King Ahab and tell him that there is going to be rain soon. But before that, this famine that was going on, King Ahab summons Obadiah. So he gets Obadiah. Obadiah loves God. Emerson, you want to tell him a little bit about why he loves God or what he did for him?
So Obadiah, he hid 100 people in 2 caves, 50 in each, and supplied them with food and water.
Yeah, and that's a big deal.
Yeah,
like that's super cool.
100 people, guys.
Yeah, he saved them. And so, and the other thing was, it wasn't just saving them from random something. The king's wife, Jezebel, was trying to kill him. And so it's awesome that Obadiah stepped up and did that. And so King Ahab and Obadiah, they decide that they're going to go check for water. So they're going to check every spring, every valley in the land to see if there's enough grass for horses and mules. So they divide the land and they start going out. So Obadiah goes one way, King Ahab goes the other, and Obadiah sees a man. And guess who it was?
Elijah,
yeah, that's right. And so he sees him and he bows down to him. He's like, "Is it really you, my Lord Elijah?" He's like, "Yes. Go tell your master Elijah is here." Now, this wouldn't be a big deal, except the fact that this has happened in the past to other people, and Elijah would disappear, and then the person who went and told the king that he was there would get killed.
Because they had to swear that he was there, and then them finding out that he wasn't there, and then they end up dead.
Not good.
So, not good.
So Obadiah is like, "Oh, sir, what harm have I done to you that you are sending me to my death at the hands of Ahab. For I swear to the Lord your God that the king has searched every nation and kingdom on earth from end to end to find you. And each time he was told, Elijah isn't here, King Ahab forced the king of that nation to swear to the truth of his claim. And now you say to me, go and tell your master Elijah's here. And the only thing is that I don't want to die. Why are you trying to kill me? And he goes, no, I am going to be here. I'm going to be here. Don't worry. So he goes, go and tell your master Elijah's here. And so Elijah says, I swear by the Almighty, the Lord Almighty, in whose presence I stand, that I will be present. I will present myself to Ahab this very day. So Obadiah, he goes and gets King Ahab and he brings him. Okay.
Yep.
And so, which is on one side, big faith by Obadiah.
Yes.
Okay. He knows what has
Very
happened in the past, but he trusts God. And he trusts God that Elijah is going to stay to his word, one, but then two, that he's also going to come back, you know. So that's that. Now,
Yep.
Obadiah went to go tell Ahab that Elijah had come. And when Ahab sees him, he goes, is it really you, you troublemaker of Israel? Ahab asked Elijah that. Elijah is not the troublemaker at all.
He isn't.
It is King Ahab.
It is King Ahab. His wife has convinced him to kill all the prophets of God, and that's not going to go well.
No. So the other thing is that we have these fake prophets, okay? We have prophets of Baal and prophets of Asherah. And this is where things get pretty crazy. And so Elijah says to them, I am the only Lord. He challenges them pretty much. This is actually what he says in verse 21. Elijah stood in front of them and said, how much longer will you waver, hobbling between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, then follow him. And the people were completely silent. They're like, maybe thinking about it. So he challenges them. He says that here's what we can do. I'm the only prophet of the Lord left, and Baal has 450 prophets. Let's go get 2 bulls, and the prophets of Baal may choose whichever one they wish and cut it into pieces, lay it on the wood of their altar, but without setting it on fire. And I'll do the exact same thing. Then call on the name of your God, and I'll call on the name of the Lord. The God who answers by setting the fire to the wood is the true God. And the people agree. So they do this. They get everything together and they start doing this. And the prophets of Baal, they call on the name of Baal from morning to noontime, shouting, oh, Baal, answer us. But there's no reply of any kind.
Morning to noon.
They danced. They hobbled around the altar they had made. And then about noontime, Elijah starts mocking them.
Making fun of them, to put it simply. Even
He's
simpler
like,
than mocking,
maybe
really.
you need to shout louder. Oh, maybe he's daydreaming, or maybe he's using the bathroom, or maybe he's on a trip, or maybe they're talking about a god. What? That's crazy.
What? Say, wouldn't it?
So they start shouting louder and doing more extreme things. And they rave all afternoon until the time of evening. Still no sound, no reply, no response. So Elijah called to the people. He said, hey, come over here. And he pretty much does the exact same thing. He sets up an altar for God, and he digs a trench around the altar large enough to hold water, and he piled wood on it, cut the bowl into pieces, and laid the pieces on the wood. And then he says, fill 4 large jars with water and pour the water over the offerings and the wood. And they did it. And then he goes, oh, no, do it a second time. More water. Oh, do it a third time.
Even more water.
Which, does water and fire mix?
No, well, unless
Water.
you want some sort of stone, you need water and lava, but that's the only way you're going to get anything out of that.
Yes, but if you have wet wood, it is very hard to light on fire. Doesn't happen. So, he's pretty much setting it up so it won't work. But at the evening time, Elijah calls upon God, and he prays. He goes, O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, prove today that you are God in Israel, that I'm your servant. Prove that I have done all of this at your command. O Lord, answer me. Answer me so these people will know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you have brought them back to yourself. And immediately the fire of the Lord flashed down from heaven and burned up the offering, the wood, the stones, and the dust. And it even licked up all the water in the trench. And when all the people saw this, they fell to the ground and cried out, "The Lord, he is God." Yes, the Lord is God.
Yes, he is, boy.
And so, with this story, okay, a little longer story, but what does this story teach us? One, about how we can follow God, or how these people, what they did, how does it help us follow God?
So you're talking about which people though?
Yeah, like Obadiah. Or Elijah.
I'm going to use Obadiah as an example, okay?
Okay.
So I think, Obadiah, like during the time that
Ahab.
Arab on accident.
Yeah.
Ahab, the time that he was hunting down all the prophets, and oh my gosh, I keep forgetting the names. Obadiah, he gathered all the prophets and hid them in caves, and that's a very big strength in Jesus, because if Ahab found out about that, he's gonna go fall into the ground and
he could be in big trouble. Yeah, Jezebel was trying to ring them all up and kill him, but Obadiah stepped out in faith and did something bold and protected them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Obadiah teaches us that when things are happening, and we can stand up and we can do the right thing, even when we know that there may be consequences. So that's awesome. Yeah, that's something great. Something that stuck out to me was that we can pray and ask God to do big things.
Yes, we can.
Like, it happened multiple times. Even with Obadiah talking to Elijah, Elijah, please don't go. I know what's going to happen if I go and get him and bring him back and you're not here. I'm going to be a dead man. So please do not go anywhere.
You look pretty good for a dead man, eh?
Yeah. But we can ask God big prayers too, to show up and do great things, just like Elijah did with this Mount Carmel challenge, where he goes, "Oh, you prophets, you do this, and I'm a prophet, I'm going to do this." We're going to do the same thing and call on God. And whichever one shows up, that's the true God. And that may be a really big prayer. God, I need you to show up. I need you to do something big. Will you do it? And I think that's also a big thing that we can do, is that we can call on God. And so a challenge for our listeners, just to wrap up, is call on God to do something big. Maybe you want to see God do something really cool. Pray and ask. And maybe you don't know exactly what you want to see him do, but maybe pray about that. God, is there something you want to show me or prove yourself to me? Because I want to see you and know you in a real way. And so with that comes to the end of our podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you later.
Bye.
See ya.
I will sing for you. I'll sing praise for you. I will sing for you. I'll sing praise for you. I will sing for you. I will sing praise. I will sing praise for all of my days. Yeah, I will sing praise. I'm gonna keep walking the way. Yeah, I will sing praise. 'Cause your love won't fade. Yeah, I will sing praise for all my days. Yeah, I will sing praise for all my days.
If you would like more resources regarding the One Story Plan, go to visitgracechurch.com/onestory. And if you'd like more resources for your kids, you can go to visitgracechurch.com/kids. We also have a YouTube channel, and you can find it by searching Visit Grace Kids on YouTube. If you like this podcast, we would love for you to like, subscribe, share, and leave us a comment. We'll see you soon.